Hi there, Kevin Newell here for GetManSkills.com, and today we're in my bathroom. It's kind of Spartan. I like to keep it that way. You never know when you might just have to get up and leave, and I don't like to spend a lot of time in here anyways. You get her done and get out. Listen close. You hear that noise? That running noise? That's a running toilet. And being a guy that's predisposed to not liking to do a lot of domestic chores, I used to fix this by the old standard jiggle the handle. We've all been there. You admit it. You know what I'm talking about. You jiggled the handle before yourself. Well, that doesn't fix the problem anymore. So what I do, come down here, being smart, turn the valve off. Problem is, you still hear the noise. The valve wore out. You know why? The guy that built this house went as cheap as possible, and this valve has plastic parts in it. See right there? That piece is plastic, and so it's inside, it's not shutting off all the water. That's as tight as I can get it, and you can hear it still running. So today I'm going to show you how to replace this valve here and get this toilet back in running condition. Alright, before you remove that valve, you need to come out to the street and you need to turn the water off to your property. Okay, so you find the access cover, and if it's like mine, it's covered in some dirt down here because a mold probably been in there. Get it uncovered. Okay, so I dug around in here until I could find it, and this is the valve right here. So if you don't have the special tool that they use to turn this off with a big long handle on it that makes that real easy, you can come in with maybe a pair of channel locks and get on there, or as I found, take a wrench, put it on there like so, and put a screwdriver handle over it like that, and you might have to work at it, but you can get that turned off. So I'm gonna get that off and we'll get right to this. Okay, so I've got the water turned off out on the street, and I went to one of the downstairs faucets and I opened it up so that it would bleed a lot of the water off from these upstairs rooms. That way I have less coming out of the line here in the bathroom. Remember, you've got water in your toilet. As you can hear, it's still running. Make sure you come in here and flush that. Make sure it's all out of there. Hold this handle open. Okay. Anything that's in the toilet is going to come out here on the floor. Okay. As you can see now, most of the water's out of the toilet. All right. Okay. Okay, because you're going to have a moderate amount of water coming out here, you definitely want to make sure you have a ton of towels placed below this valve. And the first step is to take off the line from the toilet. Okay, get on here with a pair of channel locks and slowly rotate this off. To get that loosened up, it should be fairly easy to get the rest of it off with your hand. Okay. This line to the toilet can be fairly stiff at times. Just kind of work that out of there. I'm having trouble getting this line removed from right here. So what you can do is you can come into the top of the toilet here and you can just undo this. Okay. So that's off of there like so. Then it makes that angle easier on the bottom and you can just pop that out of there. Okay. Next step, we're just going to get on here with a pair of channel locks and remove that valve off. Okay, so if you're
taking this off and you see that the fitting on the pipe is rotating as well, you're going to need to get 2 sets of channel locks, one to hold this nut and the other to spin the valve off. So one set of channel locks goes here, the other goes there. You hold this one in place while you wrench the other one off. Okay, we got the valve off of there. As you can see, no water's coming out. If you look inside that valve, you can see that that's plastic in there. That's just a cheap way of doing it, cutting corners, the things you don't see when they're building a home, so they can save a few dollars here and there. Around here is a putty. Notice there's no tape on these threads. This putty acts as a sealant the same way that Teflon plumber's tape would. And we're going to want to make sure that we get some more of that. If your threads are taped, get tape. If they have this putty on it, make sure you get that putty. Okay, here we are back from the store. We've got the replacement part, angle valve quarter turn shutoff, and you want to look for corrosion resistant brass ball. This doesn't have any of the plastic parts in it. Since this is a new installation, since this isn't a new installation, we're not going to need these parts here. These are already in place on the pipe over there, stubbed out from the wall, and this one is in place here on the line that goes up to the toilet. So we just set those aside. Now remember, this needs to be a leak-free fitting. So there's 2 ways of doing that. Since this was already done with pipe thread compound, and because this fitting is so precise that the tape actually wouldn't work if we were to use it, you just have to know what type of fitting you're getting yourself into. If it had pipe thread compound, just go ahead and buy more pipe thread compound. If it had tape, just use that. If it is taped, remember, this fitting goes on like so. This is the one that's on the wall down there. Okay, so you put the tape on in the same direction as the threads, like so. Okay, this creates that watertight seal. Rip that off. That way, when this gets screwed on, like so, it's tightening the tape rather than loosening it. If you put it on the other way, the tape would just be a bunched up mess. Okay, before we get started with the next step, see this extra putty, this pipe joint compound? See if you can get as much of that off of there as you can. That's just going to make a mess out of everything. And again, if I wasn't clear before, seeing this pipe joint compound on there is the indicator that that's what you need to use to make this seal up with. Don't try to use tape if it has pipe joint compound on there. Pipe thread compound. So make sure you mix this up. Okay. Apply this around the threads, making sure you don't make too much of a mess. You don't need a ton of it, but you do want to make sure that the threads are adequately coated. Try to keep it out of the inside of the pipe. Okay. That should be good enough. The next step is going to put this on here, hold that in place. You should be able to get this started on with your hand. Okay. It's thumb tight. The next step is we're going to use the channel locks to tighten that up. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to be gentle and hold this in place with these, trying not to mar the finish too much. And then I'm just going to tighten this up. Get it nice and snug. Okay guys, when I tighten that up, you want to make sure that you bottom these threads all the way out up against the fitting. Don't just get it as tight as you think it should be. Get it all the way tight until you can't get it anymore. Make sure you don't break that pipe off. If that happens, you're going to have the plumber out here. Okay, the next step is we're going to put this fitting on here. Okay, I'm just getting that hand tight for the time being. And then just gonna insert this here and then thread this on. Okay, after getting it hand tight, I tightened everything up nice and snug. Tightened this one up with pliers. Tightened the top one up by hand and then got on it with the pliers a little bit. Next step is go down and turn the water on the street. Preferably probably want a helper standing here watching to make sure that this doesn't start leaking. You want that valve turned off, and let's see what happens. Okay, so here we are, we're back here. The valve's turned on in the street, the house has water. We're looking to see if there's any dripping. No moisture. Nothing on the towel. The valve's still off. It's looking good. Let's turn it on. Alright. Looks like the valve's working, the toilet's filling up. Life's good. Gonna get the toilet fixed so we don't have any more jiggling the handle action, and we'll be set. Thanks for joining us.